And I knew what was coming, and I said, how do I want to die? Do I want to be beheaded? Or do I want bullets to cross my chest? I leaned over as far as I could. I said, this is it. Here it comes. And what you want to do when you're getting ready to die is, like that, is show dignity. I had to show
Jere Van Dyk is a former Afghanistan correspondent for US TV networks CBS and the New York Times. His association with Afghanistan began in the 70s. He spent decades travelling back and forth. In 2008, Jere was researching a book on Osama bin Laden. Working with his fixer in the rugged mountains of Afghanistan, he was betrayed by a contact and captured by the Taliban.
We drove west towards Kabul, made a fast, quick, hard U-turn, turned off onto a gravel road. The gravel road became a dirt road. The dirt road ended in front of a large ridge in front of us. We got out of the car. The Taliban commander in civilian clothes, no rifle. My fixer, no rifle. My fixer said, pay the driver money. And I said, oh, right. I gave him some money, and he took me in his arms, and he gave me a hug, and he did what no Afghan had ever done and has never done since then. He kissed me on the cheek, and he said, Hali Paman, go with God. I didn't realize it may have been a Judas kiss. He knew what was coming. We began to climb, and I saw all of a sudden that my Taliban fixer was armed. He had a rifle and he had a bandolier. And I realized something was up and that they had never been here before, particularly the fixer, which worried me. And then slowly we began to climb. The Taliban said, you're not bad for an old man, because my hair was gray and I had a gray beard. No, I said, I'm only nimshbin gear, which means in Pashto, I'm only half gray beard. I had to always be strong, always be tough. I could never show any weakness. And then all of a sudden, as we were walking towards sundown, I looked up and I saw a piece of black move behind a rock. Instinctively, I knew it was not a black sheep. It was not a black goat. And then I saw the black become a turban, and I knew it was the Taliban. The Prophet Muhammad wore black. The Taliban wore black turbans for the most part. Rifles high, came running down this side of the valley. Kenna, get down. The man in front had a walkie-talkie, and I said, I'm dead. I'm finished. And they blindfolded me. And they tied my hands behind my back. They were going to take me somewhere and behead me alone. And we began to climb. And I was stoic. I didn't think of opening the door and trying to run and jump. I was just accepting of my fate out of fear, out of shock. Commander said, we will do research. We're going to study if you were actually allowed through here. And if you are not, we are going to judge you based upon Sharia, Islamic law, which to me meant a death sentence. The next morning, I woke up before dawn when I heard the door open. I sat up and it was the happiest day of my life, because I said, I'm alive. I'm still alive. That's exactly what I said. I was so happy. And that's where I lived for the next 6.5 weeks. The hardest day was 3 nights later. They took each of I use the word bodyguards, they took each one outside for a long time. And each man came back in and was silent. And I waited for them to take me out, not thinking I would be allowed to come back in. But after they finished talking to the last man of the three, the lead commander walked in and he held the camera in front of me and he said, "How do I turn this on?" And he looked at me with just hatred in his eyes. And I said, "Oh, I'm about to help you kill me. I'm going to help my executioner." And I showed him how to turn the camera on. And again, I thought of my father, my brother, and my sister, and their children. And what you want to do when you're getting ready to die is, like that, is show dignity. I had to show dignity for my father. And my family. He put the camera down, the man put a Kalashnikov to my temple, and the men got behind me. And I knew what was coming, and I said, "How do I want to die? Do I want to be beheaded? Or do I want bullets to cross my chest?" The man behind me took the knife. They're this long, like this. They used them to slaughter sheep, water buffalo. And I said, "All right, it's just you and me." And all of a sudden, the world was gone. The rest of the world disappeared. "All right, go ahead. I'm not giving in. Do it now." And I saw the guy pull it out more, and I lifted I'm going to fight. I didn't know I would fight, but I would fight. I didn't know what was coming. Of course, they put the rifle back down. They put the knife back. And they walked out. Just collapsed on my bed, and I cried for about literally 2 seconds. It just came out, and I couldn't show that in front of anybody. And then I fell asleep. And this is how it is when you're in captivity, when you're in a dark room. You become territorial. This is my cot, this is my territory, don't you come here. Also, you draw close to people, but you also begin to hate people. My main jailer said that one of the Taliban commanders, I think it was his son, needed a kidney. And we'll take Mr. Jere's kidney. Then I started to pace the room like a tiger in a cage. I said, "That's it. I'm not staying here. We're going." Because every time they opened the door, every time they would come in with food, all you think about is, how do I get out of here? How do I escape? That night after I said, "I'm leaving. This is it. I'm going. I'm going." The next time the jailer came in, it was the next day, he came up to me and he looked at me in the eye and he said, "If you even think about leaving or escaping, I will come at you like a dog." And he stared at me in the coldest possible, angriest possible way. And I just knew what was coming. So no, I didn't escape. I obviously didn't escape. I didn't try to escape. I'll never forget that world. And I will never forget the time when that morning when the jailer came in and he threw a woman's chadri, they call it burqa, the all-encompassing closure over that a woman has to wear now in Afghanistan. They disguised me as a woman, and outside I got in the back seat of a car. And we're going this way, that way, traveling around circles or driving. I had no idea where we were going. I started to get sick, and I wanted to throw up. I wanted to vomit, and I was car sick, and I rolled down the window a bit, and the commander's cocked his rifle, and he said, "I just chambered a bullet. What are you doing? Why are you doing this?" And I was torn between an intense desire, and everybody in the world knows what it's like to throw up, or what am I going to get myself into now? Finally, after, I don't know, 2 hours, 3 hours, we got out, and they took my blindfold off. I got my bearings. It took a little while for the sun, because I hadn't been out in the sun in 6.5 weeks. And we walked up into the hills, and we were resting, and there was a man over there, and he was talking with my fixers and guides, and he was looking down in it looked like a plastic bag, and I said, what's going on? And he said, "Well, we have a suicide bomber waiting at the exchange. We have to prepare." I go, "Prepare? Suicide bomber?" I knew that there was going to be an exchange. They were going to bring my fixer's father in as collateral, and they were going to trade me. I imagined waiting on the top with the Taliban, and my sister or somebody coming out with the money in a briefcase, and American Apache helicopters rising behind, coming to kill the Taliban, and a little boy walking into the whole crowd and blowing himself up and killing everybody. This is what I imagined. This is how you become. People who had me said, "Now go." We stumbled on in the dark. I said, we're free, but we're not free, because where am I? And I followed my two lead guides, and out of the darkness came heavily armed men. To this day, I don't know who they were. We came in a boat, crossed the river. I rode in the back of a pickup truck. I had drunk very bad water as we came out, and I was starting to get sick again. We came down to this compound, this place, and I was lying on this cot. And then a man came out of the darkness, and he handed me a sheet of paper. And the sheet of paper was in English, and it was written by Fazl Rahim, the CBS manager in Afghanistan, and with his CBS ID card. And he said that he was nearby, not to worry, he was coming to get me. And I knew for the first time, all these years, when it comes up, but I don't talk about it or think about it. Now it comes back to me when I do. First time I realized that I was going to be free. Next morning, I got up and I walked to a latrine to go to the restroom and wash my face. And I walked in there and I looked in a mirror. I couldn't believe what I saw. The ugliest, most bedraggled, scariest looking man. I took a shower, and as I was taking a shower, there were other guys around me, all these soldiers. And I realized I was washing my time in the mountains off. And there was a part of me, of course I was happy, but there was a part of me that was sad. I realized I was never going in the mountains in Afghanistan again. I would never live that life that I had loved so much when I was with the Mujahideen, which was so exciting, which became a nightmare under the Taliban, that I was washing away that earlier life. And I came out and they took me to, and the plane was waiting, and they took me to the embassy. And the embassy, I had to do a lot of interviews with the government people and such. And then I got phone calls from various people, mostly CBS people. And I called my sister, and she cried. And I'm sorry. And then from Dubai, we were flying to New York. And CBS very kindly put me in first class. And I was the first one off. They put everybody back, made sure I got off first. And the FBI people and all these other people and I were walking down an empty hallway. Normally JFK is always crowded. This was empty. We walked through the passport control. Everybody turned and stared at this wild man holding his pants up because he was so skinny with all these men around him. Who in the world is he? What has he done? Or whomever. And a man next to me puts his hand on my shoulder and he says, "Welcome home, Jere. Welcome home." I'm home? I'm home? Where's home? You're safe now. You're safe. And then I was home. I was home. So I'm very grateful to be back. I'm here. That's the story. That's my story.